Hey guys, I figured I would just hop on here just to kind of say hi and to give you some information and talk a little bit about everything that you've been doing, and to say that I really miss you, and I had really looked forward to teaching this unit to you guys, and I wish that we could be reading these poems out loud together and talking together and really thinking about what language is doing in each of these poems. So, but here we are, and I've got to say, you guys are doing an unbelievably good job. The poems that you have been turning in have been unbelievable. The collaborative poems the first week were so good that I emailed them to my mom. It's really been spectacular to see what you guys are able to do and to produce here. So thank you for working so hard and for putting so much into everything that you're doing. So that first week we did ekphrastic poetry based on artwork. I know so many of you love to make art, love to look at art, and I think that week brought out some really wonderful voices in a lot of you. And then last week we talked a little bit about the coronavirus and what we're going through right now, and resilience and what it looks like to go through a hard time, and the ways that language can help us to navigate really challenging moments in our lives and in history and in the world. And you guys have written poetry that sort of engages with either this existing hard time of sort of uncertainty and not knowing what's going on, or of some other hard time in your life, and using language to sort of process your way through those challenging times. So this coming week, the week that you're starting today when you watch this video, is metaphor. And you guys know I love me a good metaphor. So you are going to review, obviously, what a metaphor is. That's probably a pretty simple part of this week, just sort of really quick. And then you are going to look at some poetry that leans on some really good, fascinating metaphors. Some of those poems come with YouTube links, or links to either hear the poet themselves reading the poem, or to watch a video reading that sometimes comes with some kind of like cool graphics or video effects. I really recommend you click those links and listen. And then you're gonna listen to a slam poem and some other poetry. Slam poetry uses a lot of metaphor. And you're going to do another collaborative poem this week where you write one line. The last time you wrote a sentence. This time you're just going to write a line. And somebody's going to start a metaphor and sort of carry through. And then ultimately you'll write your own poem that uses metaphor in any way you want. I'm really excited about this week because it's so open. I think metaphors are such a fabulous way for us to connect our experiences to something that other people can understand, right? So right now in this moment, maybe I feel kind of fragile and vulnerable and scared and isolated, and it's really hard for me to say that, but it's not so hard for me to say, or it's not, maybe it's hard to say, but it's not as hard for somebody else to understand if I say, I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a pond, or the ice is just a little bit too thin and I'm gonna fall through any moment. And suddenly that experience of fragility and vulnerability is really clear to somebody else in a way that it might not have been if I just said, you know, I'm feeling these things and this is what I'm going through. Human experience can be much more universal when we use metaphor, when we think about metaphor, and what it can do to connect us to each other. So your poems this week can be funny. You're gonna read some funny poems. They can be sad, they can be scared, they can be all three of those things. They can be love poems, they can be anti-love poems, they can be anything. You can write spoken word poetry this week. really anything you want to do is fair game. I just want you to use that language of comparison and to use that language of maybe universal experience or something that is connected to what you're experiencing to help me to see what you're trying to show me. And that's what metaphor does, and it's really, really special and really cool. So thanks for listening. I hope you have a great week. There's a survey to do this week, so please make sure you do that first thing. Thanks for bearing with me. You're spectacular humans. I am so proud of you, and I really miss you. But you're out there kicking butt and doing great things and probably leveling up in Fortnite and knitting things and writing poems and learning how to drive a car and taking your dog for a walk and living big, beautiful lives that are full and great. Or, you know, watching 10 seasons of a show you really love, which is really just as valuable as everything else. So thanks for being spectacular and for just showing up every day. I'm really proud of you. I'm really glad to be your teacher. You're freaking rock stars, and Mrs. Park loves you.